It keeps on flipping into the mirror.
Yeah. I can see you, but I can't see your face though. So you might want to make that adjustment.
Let's see if it's gonna allow me. The last time it did not allow me to flip it.
No, yeah. You have to
I know how to do it, but it's if it's gonna
there
allow
you
me. There we go.
go.
There we
Yeah.
go. Hello.
What's up, girl?
Hey. You know, nothing much, nothing much. What's up, Cyrus?
Hey, TK, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Can't complain.
I know that's right. Better that.
Okay, guys, we're gonna go right into it because we started on African time. We were supposed to start at 8 o'clock.
Oh,
Oh, let's go right into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sister. We are so excited to have you guys on tonight. For whoever is watching, thank you so much for joining us. Tonight we have a very exciting hour lined up for you. And of course, I want to let you guys know that for the next month, we're going to be doing our single parents series. So with that being said, we're going to be doing all things single parents. We're going to be talking all things single parents. Nothing will be off limits. So would like to invite you guys to join us for the next few weeks as we do that every single Thursday for the next month. So tonight I'd like to introduce our guest for the hour. And before I introduce our guest for the hour, I'd like to say thank you to my lovely sister, my co-anchor, for joining us.
Thank you.
And I would like to take a minute to invite our special guest for the hour.
Yes.
And before I do that, we also want to invite the presence of the Holy Spirit here. And we give all glory to God, because if it was not for the grace of God, we would not be alive today.
That's right.
So, with that being said, I would like to go ahead and introduce our guest for the hour. His name is Abesh. Abesh also goes by the name Cyrus. Cyrus is an IT professional with an MBA from Hamline University in Minnesota.
Right.
Cyrus works as a delivery manager in FinTech cloud company, and I believe that's based in Texas. So Cyrus is a father. Cyrus is a friend. Cyrus is a brother. Cyrus is a son. And Cyrus is, best of all, he is a child of the Most High God. Let's give it up for Cyrus. So, Cyrus.
What an intro, TK. What an intro. I love
that. Yes. Cyrus, thank you so much for kicking off our single parents series. Tonight we're going to be talking about a father. We're going to be talking about a father. And I'm going to give you guys really quick the definition of the word father. So the definition of a word father is, the definition of the word father is a man in relation to his child or children. The biblical definition of the word father is a father is a one who is responsible for teaching and training his children in the Lord. Fathers are to be compassionate. Fathers are to be providers, mentors, and leaders. Tonight we are going to talk about a father's love as we highlight our special guest, Abesh. So Abesh, we are going to go right into it without any delays. Thank you to all the men for joining us. If you know any other men who could benefit from this conversation, let's come on in. Before we go any further, I just want to say that we're here to dispel, a lot of these cultural ideologies that we have out there, a lot of these religious ideologies. We want to strip down and just talk about what it is to be a father, and single father at that. So, Cyrus, let's go right into it. Let's talk. How are you doing tonight?
Excellent. I can't complain. It's Thursday, ready for the weekend to spend time with the kids. So yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. That's wonderful. Yeah, we're all looking forward to the weekend. You know, America's very busy with work and all that. Schedules are jam-packed. So, you know, when Thursday hits, it's like everybody's ready to just kind of unwind and relax.
Right.
So, yeah, so let's go into it. We're gonna talk about a series of things here. You know, a little Q&A with you because we want to kind of know how you have been navigating fatherhood. Okay, my sister and I have both known you for a long time,
Right.
and I know that you are a doting father to your children. So we want to get the inside scoop on how you have been raising your children.
Right.
So Cyrus, Abesh,
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
do you remember that very first moment when you heard that you were going to be a father? Do you remember that feeling? And if you do,
Oh,
can you tell us a little bit about it?
oh, yes. I remember the time I first learned I was going to be a parent. This was back in, I want to say I was in Atlanta actually. It was back in 2008. And my kid's mom and I found out that she was expecting and we were going to be parents. At first, you kind of get a little bit scared because you don't know. It's your first time being a parent, so you don't know the unknown,
Mhm.
and you know you kind of get panicky, like, okay, oh my God, what am I gonna do over here? How am I gonna be a parent? What kind of parent am I gonna be? Then of course with that, you start thinking of your mom and dad, or your sisters, or your family members who have kids, right? And you're like, okay, I want to be like them, not them. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. So when I learned I was gonna be a parent or father at the time, I was 28, and I was
Okay.
still, navigating through life. I was trying to figure out what my life is gonna be like. I didn't really have like a good source of income as I would have preferred to have, right?
Mhm.
So I was thinking about all that kind of stuff. Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I gotta step it up. I gotta make something happen. I gotta be financially stable. I gotta be a better person just in general. Um, so with that, I had to like almost have like a lifestyle audit. You know what I'm saying? To check your lifestyle and be like, hey,
Oh, I like that.
what do I need and what do I not need? Right? What I gotta change to be a better parent? What I gotta do to make my kids' life better? Right? Of
Mhm.
course, as being immigrants in the U.S., we find ourselves facing challenges that a typical American kid will not face, right?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, what am I gonna do to make sure that my kid doesn't face those same issues I was facing when I was a teen or young adult?
Nice.
So it kind of forces you to kind of change your mental psyche, your
Okay.
behavior, and how you approach issues, right? Because now you have somebody who is depending on you and doesn't have the ability or the know-how of taking care of themselves, right? So there's a lot of like compounding factors that I factor in, and just kind of change my lifestyle and just be, be a better person. At the same time, being able to provide for my kid and, be able to just maintain life as it is, and include the new body next to me.
Yeah, wow. Wait, hold on. I have to say something. Look, I asked you one question. You gave me 10 answers.
That's a loaded question.
Listen.
It's a very loaded question because there's so many things that one has to think about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just pulling your leg. Don't mind me.
Right.
I love that. I absolutely love the fact that and again, just hi to everybody that's joining us, Cyrus's family, Cyrus's friends, and just anyone from our camp too. Thank you so much for, checking in with us tonight. This is a very important conversation, and we're talking about a father's love, and tonight we're here to highlight Abesh as a father. So let's go into Abesh. I love that answer that you gave us because you're right. It was a loaded answer, but then again, when you
Loaded
learn.
question and loaded answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. When you learn that you're going to be a parent, that's a loaded thing in itself, right?
Right.
Just the idea of being a parent.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's go into something else. I want to know, you talked a little bit about how fatherhood changed your life. You know, within that answer that you just gave us, you talked about how it changed your life, it changed your perspective. You have to start thinking about finances. You have to start thinking about, how you're going to take care of your family.
Correct.
Um, you have to start thinking about how, there was going to be this really big shift in your life,
Yeah.
and not just financially, even emotionally. I can only imagine being in your mind at that point in time when you got that news, right? So, TK, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, but a little bit later because it's going to tie in. I like the fact that he mentioned that he had a lifestyle audit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's vital. Not a lot of people do that.
True.
I mean, they talk about it, but they don't do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, that'll come up again.
Okay, let's go. Let's flow. Let's flow. Okay, so we're here to get into the mind of a single father, because at this point in time you are a single parent, right?
Correct.
So how's your experience? How has your experience been, your day-to-day experience as a single parent? And when I ask that question, I'm trying to get at what's your thought process behind that? Because obviously we know when you are no longer with your significant other, uh, that in itself is also a life change. So how do you navigate through that?
Yeah, it takes a lot of adjustment when it comes to being a single parent. For example, when you're used to having like a two-parent household, then at some point you have to part ways. But at the same time, you have to maintain some kind of continuity between yourself and the kids, right?
Mhm.
So the most important thing is just to make sure that you're available there for your kids. If it means making that phone call every day, that text message, that you have to make sure the kids feel your presence,
Yeah.
and the presence has to be valuable, right? So not only your presence, it has to be a presence valuable. Like, hey, you're the parent, you're gonna, advise them, give them game to navigate through life. At the same time, make it fun, you know.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we find ourselves, in situations whereby, you have to kind of adjust, adapt, sacrifice your time, and make sure you're just there for the kids emotionally, physically, financially, whatever the case may be, just to make sure that they understand that you're there as a parent, you care for them, you love them, and no matter what, you have their back, which is the most important thing.
Love that.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. T, do you have anything to add to that?
You're talking about spending time. I've got a question, T.
Yeah.
Now, kind of just jump ahead of you, T. When you're talking about spending time with the kids, how do you do that with girls and boys? How does that look?
So it's very tricky, right? Because, for example, if you think about it, 9 months out of the year, the kids are in school,
Yeah.
and they have a certain routine whereby they go to school Monday through Friday, off on the weekends, and then back at it again. So when you say I'm still spending time, I don't really have to be there physically with them. Like, for example, on their Monday through Friday kind of schedule, because one, I don't want to disrupt their sleeping patterns, their studying patterns, and all that kind of stuff, right? But I want to make sure that they understand that I'm still there. Call me, text me. How was school? Call me on your way from school, when you're in the school bus. Talk to me, right? Because a lot of times you'll find that some parents try to overcompensate and they'll pick up the kids during the week, disrupt their routine, which to me, I feel like that's not the best approach, because you're going to mess up the sleeping pattern, the studying habits, just the regular routine that they have on a regular basis. So, of course, with that, a lot of times in the school year, we're kind of limited as far as spending time with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
However, you try to make the most out of it, just letting them know that, hey, I'm here for you. If you need if you need help in your schoolwork, you gotta get a tutor for you. If you need, extra help and say at school, if you need a ride to be picked up later from school so you can finish your work, I'm here for you, and I'll make sure that you're successful. So that's the way I look at it as far as spending time. Of course, on the weekends when you have capacity and they have capacity, hey, let's go. Let's go hang out and do something fun, something memorable, take pictures. Let's enjoy the moment.
Oh my goodness. I absolutely love that. And I love that. I love it for certain, for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna kind of go back to some of the things that you just said, because here at Sister to Sister, we started this podcast so that we could learn from one another, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're never too wise to learn, And I love what you said about the sleep pattern. To me, I feel like that's very, very, very important.
Right.
And I feel a lot of parents, whether it be the female or the male, whoever has the primary custody during the week or whatever the case may be, however it's divided, I don't know. Circumstances are different for different individuals, but sleep pattern is major, especially when a child is in school. I like the fact that you're cognizant of that it's important for a child to get their rest so that they can, go to school and they're ready to learn. Yeah, that's very, very, that's just a wonderful thing to hear from a father. And then
Yes.
also, with when you talk about school, I wanted to sneak in a question real quick.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and I can't say every father, but a lot of times, some men are not involved in, the educational process.
Yeah.
And I can't be one-sided about that, because obviously it depends on the relationship you have with your significant other, So if you guys have a relationship where you all have a cordial relationship, you can be involved, in your children's lives on so many levels without actually physically being in the home, right? Then again, it depends on the kind of relationship that you have with that, with your significant other. So I wanted to talk about parent-teacher conferences, and, kind of checking in, with the school, with your kids in particular. Are your children's teachers and stuff aware of who you are, aware that you're involved? Do you attend those conferences here and there? Do you audit their grades, type of thing? Because I know you talked about school and how you're involved in their education, but I'm just curious about that aspect of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very involved in my children's grades and all that's involved when it comes to their schooling. So, for example, we typically, any kind of notification that the school may have, my email, my phone number is attached. So, for example, if I know that if my son doesn't attend school, my kids don't attend school, I get a notification via email or phone call or whatever the case may be,
Okay.
So that's something that I'm very, very involved with. Every time there's a situation maybe where my son was sick or my kids are sick and they didn't go to school, and I get a notification. If I didn't have prior knowledge or I didn't get prior notification from the mom or themselves, I have to call and just verify, okay, what's going on? Why did you miss this class? Why did you miss this day at school? What's going on? Is there something that we can do so it doesn't happen again? And all that kind of stuff. It's critical in the sense that parents have to be on the same page when it comes to their kids' education.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, my kid not going to school doesn't really affect me in the sense of my educational background, but it affects him if he doesn't attend school, doesn't go to school, doesn't take school seriously.
Right.
So it's very important that parents understand that it's imperative that these kids attend school, and when they attend school, they get the most out of it, get the best grades to the best of their capabilities.
Mhm.
At the same time, they're learning and growing as human as individuals. So, just to answer your question, I'm super involved in that. I take their grades very seriously, their attendance very seriously. I try to make sure that whatever it is, you got to perform to your abilities. And of course, when you have your kids, they're smart of their level of capabilities, and you just want to make sure that they hit those targets and make sure they make the best out of it.
Wow, wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. And I, it takes two. A lot of times, we have to give credit where credit is due. It takes two. If you're with someone who you can partner up with,
Yeah.
sometimes things don't work out. That's a part of life. But the kids don't. Of course, kids are going to be affected by that. But I like to see. I like to say that when I think about a relationship and when it doesn't work out, there's a shift, but it doesn't have to be in a negative way. Especially when children are involved. Yeah. So I want to read a couple of Bible verses here. I want to read Proverbs 1 verse 8. It says, "Hear my son, your father's teaching and instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching." Psalm 103 verse 13 says, "A father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him." So, Cyrus, we want to go into talking about culture. We want to talk about culture real quick. Um, First of all, I know, and even TK too, we know and we absolutely love your family, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
yeah, I love your family. Your brothers. Your late mother was one of my moms too, pretty
Yeah,
much.
sure.
And and your dad and everything. So me and we go way back,
Yeah,
anyways. In other words.
Yeah.
So let's talk about culture real quick. When you think about the African culture, right? Because you come from Kenya, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. So when you think about the African culture,
Mm-hmm.
like in my mind, I immediately go to when I think about the father, I think when I remember my late father, I think reverence, and it was like a combination of fear and respect, but it was more fear, right? So your father was someone who you looked up to and who you were afraid of, in a way. And that was the culture back home. Your father was not your friend, right? Not your friend at all. But here in America, it's different. Here there is an emphasis on having a friendship with your children, right? So tell me a little bit about that balance. How do you balance being a father to your children and being a friend? Because there's a little dance there. So how do you know when to put, which hat on?
Yeah, that's it's a very difficult question when it comes to that balancing act. Like for myself with my dad is a very calm individual, very relaxed, at the same time very loving. He's somebody who I respect a lot, and somebody who I'll do anything for or whatever he says, right? Because he's very knowledgeable, very wise, he's understanding. So my approach is to always emulate how my dad was to me. So with that being said, my kids and I would say, as of right now, of course things change, but as of right now, I think we have the similar kind of relationship that I had with my dad and they have with me.
Nice.
We are very, they know that I'm their dad. They know that, hey, I have the best interest at heart. And whatever I advise them, whatever I tell them, whatever they do is for their benefit. And so far, I can say that it's kind of working in the sense that I just make sure that, hey, give them the reality of life. I ain't gonna yell at them, but just explain myself, from a most basic, minute standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and break it down, to the point that they can have an understanding. At the same time, you have to realize and remember that they're still growing. The experiences are very limited, and the only way that they can fully understand is by breaking it down to a granular level where they can grasp and take bits out of it. It's not guaranteed that they'll take everything that you say when you're telling them or advising them. I mean, in the long run, you want it to be a point where that they can remember it's sitting somewhere in the back of their mind. And at some point when they experience a similar situation, they'll be like, oh my God, I remember my dad talked to me about this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, okay, you know what? It makes sense, right? From their experiences or what my dad told me, not everything is coming together, right? So for me, I just want to make sure that, hey, whatever it is, just mention it, talk to them, just make sure they understand why you are, giving that example, that explanation. At some point in life, they'll come to a point where they'll remember that incident and they'll be like, now it makes sense. I see why my dad was telling me that, and that's, let me follow through on that advice as you have the best interests at heart.
Wow, that was, shout out to Grandpa too. Shout out to Grandpa.
That's our boss.
That's my guy
Yeah.
too. But yeah, that was beautiful. It's beautiful to hear you, talk about your relationship with him and how that has sort of carried on through the generation with your kids. So we do emulate what we see in our parents. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So that calm, kind of calm nature about him, the relaxed nature, I do see that in you as well. Just kind of like a calm. I mean, I think Grandpa's a little bit more calm, but
True. Yeah.
but I do see that. So T, what do you think about what Cyrus just said? I mean,
I think it's interesting because I'm comparing what Cyrus said versus the along with the statistics that I gathered from single parenthood, like moms versus dads. So I'm going to interject and give you guys a scoop on that. So it says that there are 2.5 million single parent. Those are daddy's homes. So those are the dads, 2.5. And the moms are 9.8 million. What I found really, yes. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker, because you and Cyrus Cyrus is talking about culture, and you think about culture and upbringing and how you're raised in your family. And for those who have been raised by moms, I think that's a beautiful thing. But here's the kicker. Statistics shows that children are better off with their dads than their moms. I was really shocked to find that out today. Yes, that when a child is being raised predominantly by their dad, that they are they're more likely to succeed. And when they're with their mom, it's not. Basically, it was really being a woman. I was like, this is kind of offensive. It was just talking about the structure. It was.
That sounds a little biased.
But it was just talking about how the dad approaches parenting. Whatever, Cyrus. But here, I mean, listen to these statistics. When a child is being raised by their mom alone, they are 9 times more likely to commit suicide. They are 10 times more likely to use substance abuse. They're 20 times more likely to end up in jail. 70% of teen pregnancies are because they're from a single parent home being raised by their mom. And 70% of suicides because of single parent mommies. And here's the one that was really interesting, and that of course media has been hiding from us, is that single mommies are more likely to harm their children than fathers. So to me, it's even while Cyrus was talking, honestly, at one point, T, I was almost about to cry. I was like, oh my gosh, because it made me think. Look, first of all, I was like, oh my goodness, Cyrus, I never knew you're so smart.
Thank you.
But all seriousness, with the spiritual aspect, the words that you were talking about, responsibility, provider, presence, and how you're not always physically with your children, but they still know that you're present. I just correlated that
Right.
with God. And I was like, parenting is so spiritual, obviously, but even when you're looking at it from a scientific perspective, it all still points to God. So hold on, somebody said, where did they get the research is from? So it's from medium.com. Wasn't too crazy about that website name, but that's just me. I'm a literal person, so I take things a little literal. So it's medium.com. Another one was from the Census Bureau. Those statistics were from the Census Bureau, talking about how the 2.5 million daddies. And by the way, 2.5 million daddies covers 3.5 million babies. So look, versus the 15.9 babies that the mommies take care of. So,
Wow.
but again, so that's from the Census Bureau, and that's also from medium.com. And then you might want to check out, what's his name? Patrick Bet David. He's got some good information too on single parent. And while I'm talking, for all the single parents out there, there is an app called Minette. And if you need advice and from other parents, that's an app where parents are willing to share information with parenting. Okay, guys, back to you in the studio.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Actually, I do follow Pat Bev. Pat Bev.
Nice.
Yeah, he's one of the guys I listen to every couple days. He has a podcast. And it's pretty
Yes.
cool. So actually, last year I was in Florida, in Pompano Beach, and he has his studio where he records his podcast. I actually went there. Yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
Look.
And actually, he has another office right here in Frisco as well.
Hey.
Dallas, in the Dallas Metro. Not too far.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's, you know what? Let's recap real quick. On the statistics. For me, I was blown away by that gap.
Yeah.
Of single parent, female, or I can't even speak English right now.
Yeah.
Female single parent homes, where children are raised by their mothers, and homes where children are raised by their fathers, and that huge gap. I just feel, and this is part of the reason why we decided to do this single parent series. I feel this single parenthood has become it's an epidemic. Okay,
Yeah.
it's an epidemic, and we are and not to say that we're any different because we're of African background or we're from Africa, but we've fallen into the system as well. We've fallen into the cracks of the system. Yeah. So when you think about it, flowing right into my next question, when you think about the system, okay, and for those of you who don't know anything about the system, the American system, you should know about it. You should read up on it. You should read up about, read up on, these, governmental, laws and things that they have in place, especially when you have children here. You need to make yourself fully aware of these things, so that if you're caught up in a situation where you have to go to court, that you are knowledgeable. You're not going to court, blindly,
Correct.
So when you think about the system, Cyrus, when I think about the system myself, from what I have read about the system was created to push the father out of the home.
Right.
And I would like to say the black father, because obviously, we migrated from Africa. So before we migrated, there were people, there were African Americans here. And that system was created to push the black father out of the home, right? And so now as years and time has gone by, and things have developed a little bit. Now, like I said, Africans are coming here and they're falling into the cracks of the system. People
Right.
are like, okay, I'll just pay child support and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll get my kids every other weekend and I'm good.
Hmm.
I have one whole week to myself, and then you put it on your calendar. Don't forget to pick up kids. you know, and then the location might be Burger King. The location might be the gas station.
Right.
So all I'm just trying to say is that, all jokes aside, it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
And our kids are being affected by our choices.
Right.
Long term, right? And so when I think about the system, I want to ask you, Cyrus, are you knowledgeable when it comes to the system? Are you knowledgeable when it comes to, would you be able to help a friend out if a friend had a situation where maybe he was a single parent and he didn't know much about how things go? Are you in a position to say, hey, A, B, C, and D, you can go about it like this, you can go. Are you knowledgeable when it comes to, those things? And I'm talking about the side of the system, not just the general parenting. I'm talking about the law. Are you knowledgeable about that?
So the law in the US is very, very complicated. A lot of times you'll find yourself that either one, you've been through it and you learn from that mistake, or you're good at research, or you're like a law student, right? And who just knows that particular space of law.
Mhm.
So, for example, even if, let's just say I'm a lawyer, for example, and I practice immigration, that guy has no help when it comes to family law. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't,
Mhm.
that's not his practice. He's not
Yep.
knowledgeable about it. He cannot help you in that space of. He may know how to research it, and he may know how to interpret the laws, and from what the penal codes are, or what the laws are in place. So you'll find that until you've been through it, gone through it, that's when you will learn.
Mm.
And
That's right.
yeah, and also at the same time, you have to be one inquisitive human being and just go out there and Google, YouTube, research. Now we have ChatGPT, and give scenarios on those apps and those kind of platforms to get the best legal advice. I would say if someone was to come to me today and was to inquire about, let's say, divorce, and divorce even goes, that's even broad, because different states have different laws,
That's right.
Mhm.
and so someone has come to me today and say, hey, what do you think about divorce in, let's say, Texas? At least from my experience, I know how that goes, right?
Okay.
And I'll give them a little advice that I know about divorce in Texas. But still, laws keep changing. Situations are very, very, very different. So even that will not be that much of help, because you'll find that there's a lot of times when people come to you for advice or an opinion, they never really tell you the full truth. They
Mm.
always give you bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So you're advising them on like wrong information. So I'd say that I'm not. If someone was to come to me and I was to give them my opinion of what I face, if they're the same similar situation, they may benefit. But if they're
Okay.
coming in with like half truths, half whatever the case may be, they're going to end up losing, because the legal system is very,
Yeah.
it's very like fine tuned. Like, hey, this particular situation goes here, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay. I got that. And to my understanding, I will, um, um, I'll say, you explained how, just like a doctor is not an overall doctor. A doctor has a specialty. So, like
Mhm.
you said, in law, there are certain fields that that person might be a family lawyer. There could be an immigration lawyer. There could be a real estate lawyer.
Right.
So, I get the gist of what you just explained. And like you just said, only when you've been through it personally, you may be able to guide someone based on your personal experience, right? But I'll still say to anyone watching, especially African men, because obviously, even my African sisters too, know the law.
Yeah.
Know the law so that you don't go to court blindly. Nobody ever wants to go to court. That's actually the last place we all want to be.
Mm-hmm.
If
it's a
there's
lose
a way,
it's a lose situation. A lot of times you're both gonna end up losing.
Yeah.
exactly. If there's a way to find a resolution before you go to court, if there's a way to be cordial and to say, hey, you know what, it didn't work out, but we have these kids. How can we take care of them? What's the schedule like? When do you want them? What's the holiday like? Who's gonna? Because pretty much, the funny thing about the system, right, Cyrus? The funny thing about the system is they're gonna tell you how to. They're gonna write certain things down for you on a piece of paper, and it's literally something that you could actually sit down and do with your significant other without going in front of a judge, right?
Right.
But the problem is with ego, when people are together and things haven't worked out, when ego gets in the way, there's all these feelings and all these emotions, and people can't think straight, and that's when people end up in that situation where they go to court, and then sometimes things even go down an ugly path.
Right.
So I would just advise anyone out there, who's watching, know the law, learn the law, and let that be your last resort. Let it be your last resort. Anyways, okay, so moving forward, and thank you so much, Cyrus, for answering that. Moving forward, let's talk about emotions. In 1 Corinthians 16, verse 14, it says, do everything in love. Do everything in love, right? The Bible instructs us to do all things in a loving manner.
Right.
So let's talk about emotions real quick. In society, we know that a lot of time, I said a lot of time. A lot of time. We know that a lot of times men's emotions are shunned, right? It's like, be a man, be strong, don't cry, why are you being dramatic? Why are you being feminine? Why are you being soft? No, I mean, listen. Meanwhile, psychology tells you that you need to help your child to manage their emotions. So as a father, when you disconnect from your emotions, how are you going to help your child to navigate through their emotions? Because you know that children are emotional. So Cyrus, I want to know, how do you demonstrate love to your children? And I'm not talking about finances here. I'm talking about, that one-on-one, kind of building your child's self-esteem. Talking to them about life and about issues and checking in with them on an emotional level, really making sure that everything is intact. Because, sometimes kids will, especially boys, they may relate to their fathers in a better way. So how do you show your children love? How do you demonstrate love to your children?
Okay, so first things first is I read somewhere, I forget where exactly I read it at. When one is emotional, you kind of lower your IQ, right?
Oh.
So, so you find yourself when you're emotional, a lot of times you make what we call dumb decisions, or a decision that is not in the best interest of the involved parties. So one is, you just try your best and check yourself and make sure that whatever decision you're making is based on facts as opposed to being emotional. So that is number one. Of course, humans, we are social beings. We are emotional to some extent. Um, so you try your best to make sure that, hey, kids know that, hey, for example, two brothers are playing and one is beating the other and always better than the other one in a particular sport or whatever it is. Um, just understand that, hey, the only way you can get better at that is by practice, and that's the most logical thing to do. You gotta spend your time, gonna beat him, practice, 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 and get to the level where he's at and surpass him, or vice versa, right? So you just try to make sure that they understand that, hey, anything and everything in life is possible. However, you gotta put in effort. Nothing comes easy, or nothing comes by you showing up. So I just try my best is to make sure that whatever decision I make, it's based on facts, based on uh, situations that can be resolved or solved by, putting in effort, putting in time, and getting to where you want to be. If that makes sense.
Okay,
Yes.
but I like that answer, but you didn't answer my question. So
Yeah.
I need to go back again and ask you. I want to I'm trying to find out where you're at emotionally. First of all, when was the last time you cried?
Last time I cried, oh, so I lost a brother a couple of years back. My
Oh.
mom. That's what I think. That's the last time I remember crying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, and I asked you that just to. I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a personal question, but I asked you that too because I'm trying to get you to understand my question. How do you demonstrate love to your children via emotions?
Hmm.
No, love to my kids is it's based on, like, hugging them, touching them, letting them know you love them. So it could be verbal, it could be through touch, it could be through hugs, through actions.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your birthday, you make sure you're one of the first few people to wish them a happy birthday, give them a present. When they do well in school, reward them. When they work hard, reward them. That's how I show my love to my kids.
I love that. I love that. T, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, you guys just touched on, what's his name? Gary Chapman, the love languages. That's all.
Okay.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in our community, the African community, men are given a hard time, like I mentioned before, when it comes to being emotional, right? And I think it's good. It's good for a man to be soft because it lets you, it lets you understand that, men go through so much in this country, especially black men. Every day, every single day is hard for them. And not to say it's an excuse to be an absentee father, not to say it's an excuse to be a divorcee, not to say it's an excuse to be a jerk or to be an a-hole. But really, in all truth, being a black man is being a black man, I mean, it just seems like such a hard thing because being a black woman is hard, but I just can't imagine what being a black man feels like every single day when your feet hit the floor. The challenges you face out there in the community, the challenges you face in the workforce, the challenges you face, just walking around, as a black man, and then coming home and not having that support system, whether it's, family or whether it's, a spouse or whatever the case may be. Being a black man just seems to be something that is very, very difficult, especially in this country. So with that being said, I want to know, what's the most challenging part about being a single father? Like when you think about the challenge, what would you say? What comes off the top of your head? Just tell us two things that just shoot up outside of your head right now. What are the two most challenging things that you would?
Challenges. That's a loaded question. I would say that the longer that the parents are separated, their goals and attitudes change to shift, right? So, for example, for year one, when you're separated, you're kind of still aligned and have the same kind of goals for the kids. But as time goes on, the kids grow older, the kids find what they like, you know, the other parent may find somebody who they're with, and maybe that person may sway how they think, whatever the case is. And yourself too. You know, you may find yourself being in a situation whereby, you know, you are, you know, somebody else who has a different mindset, you know. So that's very challenging, right? To keep on balancing, like how you envision your child's life to progress or to be by the time they become a full adult. So a lot of times that's very challenging, and you have to really adjust, adapt to the changing dynamics of all parties involved, from the mom, dad, and the children.
That's a good point.
Yeah. T, anything to add?
No, I think that's a good point. And to kind of backtrack to when you ask Cyrus about emotion, it just shows you the difference between a mom and a dad, and how we see emotions a little differently. Because you struggle to answer that question at first, which is fine. Which is fine, but that just shows you the mind of a man. You're more structural. It's like you said, it's more factual. I'm not saying that women aren't factual, because we can be. Hello. No, but that was a really good answer, even to just talk about, you know, with the co-parenting situation and how your goals can kind of get a little blurry when you're involving different parties. Which brings me to my question, sir.
Wait, hold on.
Are you ready?
Go easy now.
So he opened the door, so I'm just gonna walk through. Okay. Now,
all right.
You're talking about involving other parties. How do you approach the dating world being a single pop?
Nice.
So, be more specific with that question. Like, what do you mean? How do I?
You heard me, T? You got some chapos in your mouth or something? You choking on some mandazis?
Hold on. I'm like, are you feeling okay over there? Do you need some water?
I got some for you. I got some. No, I mean, like, okay, let's say that you're ready to jump into the pool. I don't know. Look, disclaimer, I don't know Cyrus's business. This is just a question. But when you're dating, what's the mindset? Obviously, it's different. You're a dad. So when you're looking for a partner, what are you looking for before you even start dating? When you're out there, you know, because you're in Texas, there are beautiful people in Texas and a lot of beautiful brown people in Texas.
Right.
So when you see somebody physically, like, okay, they've caught your attention, what are you thinking if you want to approach that person? Of course, your mind is going, but are you considering certain, you know, your children in your dating?
Absolutely. That's actually, the kids come first, right? So that comes with one, being honest to whoever you're talking to, and asking questions, being inquisitive. Like, hey, I'm in this situation. These are my kids. They're the ages. What's your take? You know what I'm saying? And you'll find that a lot of humans are very honest too. You know, you'll find that they'll say, okay, cool. I love kids. I don't like kids. I don't want a guy with kids, or whatever the case is. Now, at that point, you already know what you're dealing with, right? And of course, if your kids come first, you nip that in the bud and be like, okay, cool, go on about your way. But most females, you know, they've been through especially at this age that we're in right now, people have kids or have had a divorce or a separation of some sort. So it's not as difficult as it may look or sound, but a lot of people are very, you know, open and
Okay.
willing to accommodate a blended family.
Nice.
So that's not there's no, a lot of times there's no deal breakers. People are not surprised by you having kids or even having
Mm-hmm.
gone through a divorce or whatever the case is,
Okay.
or major separation.
I like
Nice.
that. So how soon do you mention that you are a dad?
Oh,
Is it the
ASAP.
first? Oh, nice. Very
You
cool.
said what?
He said
ASAP.
ASAP.
Oh, oh. Let me just say something funny. There's a pastor that I saw on TV that said, if you're a single parent, that you should not reveal that right away.
Oh,
That
really?
yes, that pastor's advice
Mhm.
was that you should, get to know that person, outside of the bubble of parenthood.
Okay.
Get to know, and I found that a little bit deceiving.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, I kind of looked at it and said, I guess, yeah, like if you're not gonna go and sit down, wherever it is that you find your significant, your options, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what to say.
Your options.
I don't know what to call it. But wherever it is that you meet people, okay, let me just put it that way. So whether it's at a restaurant, whether it's at a bar, I mean, you're not gonna go up to sit at a bar and be like, hey, yeah, yeah, I'm a single parent, like it's a, yeah, I got,
Yeah.
So I understood what the pastor meant, that you want that person to kind of get the gist of who you are, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
because that's private information that not everyone should be privy to, unless it's a person of interest. So it's different if your status, your Facebook status has your whole your children and everything. There are those men who love their kids to a point where you click on that man's
Right.
Facebook,
Right.
the kids are in the background.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That brother's going on vacation. The kids are in the background of, so clearly, like, clearly, like, this is a man who absolutely loves and just dotes on his kids. So, I did think that pastor's advice was a little deceptive, but I also
Yeah.
kind of saw the other side of it. I was like, yeah, I guess the first time you meet,
Yeah.
you can be a little bit, you can conceal that. Not really conceal, but you can kind of, just kind of, work on getting to know that person. Say, hey, do you have any children? And then maybe when they disclose that, you can say, hey, I have. Anyways, to each his own. But I just wanted to throw.
Yeah. My approach
Yeah,
is a little
not,
bit different.
like
Yeah.
if you meet someone at the bar, you pull out your cell phone. How how your child is on your cell phone.
But
Oh, man.
That chick was like, well, damn.
you know what, T? It's interesting that you come with that comment, because the videos on YouTube say otherwise. It says that men are able to talk about being single parents and they're found to be attractive, and that's like, oh my gosh, you're a dad, oh my goodness. But women who mention that they are single moms are
How many
less
baby
likely to
daddies?
get.
How many baby daddies? How many baby daddies?
Hold on now, hold on now.
How long were your relationships? How old are your kids? And then they
Wait,
start
wait,
doing
wait,
the
wait.
math. Like, okay, so
How old is the youngest?
But it's a I think it's unfortunate. Guys are seen to be more attractive when they have children,
Yeah.
and women not so much.
And actually,
So
Tiki, that's kind of true, because I remember this one time I was taking my kids to Atlanta, and my youngest at the time, he was very young, and he fell asleep on the plane, and I had him laying on my chest, and I would not, like, I don't know how many comments I got from like passengers, like, oh my God, you're such a great dad. I was like, okay, hold on, why am I a great dad? It's because he's laying on my chest. That doesn't constitute me being a great dad.
look, you're like, here, look, here's my card.
Yeah. I'm like, this is my kid. If he's tired, he's gonna lay on me. Like, it's not a big deal. I'll carry him. He's little. He's not that heavy. Like, I mean, I had maybe like 4 comments
Right.
on that
Wow.
plane. I couldn't
Wow,
believe
wow.
it. I was like,
See?
what kind of crap is that?
Look,
Yeah,
and
that's
now if it's a woman with her daughter or her son
Yeah.
and she's breastfeeding with the cloth, it's like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that in public?
Yeah.
Can you stop? Why are you
yeah, yeah,
doing that?
yeah.
Right.
It automatically, I wouldn't say disqualifies you, but your value decreases, when you have a child as a
Yes.
woman. Your value, the man is like, oh God, okay, so that means, obviously there's another man in the picture,
Yes.
and his mind, instead of him thinking, like you said, logically, he starts to think emotionally and
Yeah.
think, oh, is she with this guy? When was the last time she was intimate with him? Does she still love him? You know what I mean?
You're laughing.
Yeah, like there's no more logic there. It's just like, okay, straight
Sure.
to emotions, and jealousy and ego and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want us to go back real quick because obviously here we're winding down here real soon.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on this. I wanted to touch on this. Many times as a single parent, you you hear that, especially from a woman's perspective, when a child is misbehaving, and I'm going to tell your father, I'm going to let your father know about this, So then, what happens after that? There's a phone call made to dad,
Yeah.
and then the mom is, hey, they did this, they're not listening, da da da. Da. So now all of a sudden, a lot of, and I wouldn't say every single woman because I can't speak for everyone, but I think it seems like suddenly a father becomes like a villain almost, type thing. Like daddy is called mostly when a situation can't be handled. So hey, you handle this, So how do you handle a situation like that? Like if one of your boys is maybe and I know your boys are. Aiden is a teenager now, right? He must be a teenager.
15. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's 15. Yeah.
yeah. So I know that at that stage, there's a lot of things going on, including crushes and all these
Yeah.
things, and and image and identity, and and clothing and dressing, and so there's a lot of things going on. So kids act up for so many different reasons. They may not even ever share the whole truth.
Mhm. True.
So how do you handle that situation when you get that phone call and it's like, hey, talk to your son. How do you handle that?
So, I mean, I think it goes back to, as I mentioned earlier, having the daily contact with your
Yeah.
kids, or having as much contact as you possibly can. To give them advice. At the same time, making them know that you're a friend, but you're still their dad, and you're looking out for the best. Out of best for them. So in those instances that there's a misbehavior, of course, again, get all the facts right, know exactly what you're talking about. So when you go talking to them, you are you have all the knowledge,
Mhm.
you know exactly what happened, whereby they see like somebody who is they can trust and has the nitty-gritty of the issue, as opposed to just going and saying like, hey, I heard you being this way in this particular instance.
Yeah.
But when you have all the know-how and you know exactly what you're talking about, there's that thing where like, okay, my dad, when it comes to me, he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't make up stories. He knows what the hell's talking about. He's listened to the other party. He's listened to them. And the most important thing is when you approach them in those kind of instances, is you ask their version of the story.
Yeah.
And then now you compare what maybe the mom or the school, whatever it is, said about them. Then at that point, like, hey, this is what you do in this particular instance. You act accordingly or act this way, or you respond this way. Just make sure you check your wordings and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important just to make sure that whatever you're doing, be knowledgeable about the situation.
Mhm.
Don't just jump into conclusions, and hear their side of the story as well, because they may have a point. Because again, a lot of times you find that kids are kids; they know what they know, and they can't think outside that particular scope.
Mhm.
Very
So
true.
yeah, so just make sure that you know that that thinking capacity is limited. It's not as broad as yours is, or the other parent may be.
Very true. That was a beautiful answer. T, do you have anything to add to that?
No. I'm just like, wow, Cyrus, you're so smart.
Thank you.
Don't crack me up, please.
You know what? You never know what's in someone's mind until you talk to them and you hear what they're saying. And that's exactly what look, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but it was like, just listen to what someone's saying and you'll get to know them. So no, I mean, look, not who would have thought. I would have never known. I would have never known. No, but I think obviously you've got a wealth of knowledge here about parenting, and I think it's really important to mention that this conversation is thrilling in the fact that you are a man, an African man, sharing your experience, and not a lot of people share their experience about parenting and about single parenting, right? So it's an important conversation to have, and it's an important conversation to hear, because you're painting the picture for somebody who might be entering the situation. Some people are doing it voluntary, and some people are like, that's not what I wanted, but I'm here.
Right.
So I think everything you're saying is so important, because somebody can take notes and pointers and say, okay, let me try this, let me try that. So no, I definitely appreciate your time on tonight, because the grass has been greener on the other side.
Oh, okay, yeah. So just to recap, I want to talk about. I want to round this up because we've come to the end of our little program over here. This one was starting to get juicy. See, guys, we need to open up. Listen. We need to open up so that we can really break some chains. I know that sounds so spiritual, but life is spiritual, right?
It is.
And when you think about being a single parent, and you especially when you came from a 2-parent household and you're a single parent, you have to ask yourself some questions. You have to sit down and ask yourself some tough questions. Okay, where did I go wrong? Because a lot of times blame is placed on, everyone's pointing fingers, but someone told me that when you point one finger out that way, all the rest of the fingers are pointing
back at you.
That's true.
So I think it's good to really sit down with yourself and say, why haven't I been able to be, successful in a relationship? And this is in regard to all single people, all single parents. You have to do like Cyrus said, sit down and take audit, and really inventory and really say, why am I where I am?
Right.
And how can I make it better so that this is not a cycle, for your kids to go into the cycle of being a single parent type thing. We want to break these cycles, So let's continue this conversation. You guys, like I said, we just started our kickoff for our single parent series. Look, Cyrus, you got a lot of followers. Listen, y'all. Your girl is like, oh, we're gonna bring Cyrus back for a part 2. Cyrus,
why not?
You have your whole camp. All your boys came through.
Yeah.
But before we let you go, I have a very important question to ask you.
Okay.
How does Cyrus self-care? Because the truth about the matter is, at the end of the day, you're a man, but you're someone's son. You're someone's son, you're someone's brother, you're someone's father, and you need to have your support system. You need to have, and I know you come from a big family. Your family is wonderful too at that.
Thank you.
But you need to have that consistent support system. So how does Cyrus self-care? What do you do to kind of just relax, to wind down? I mean, whether it's with or without the kids, what does Cyrus do to just check out and just kind of relax? What does Cyrus do?
Yeah, so it's crazy because there's when you think of your life, right, like on a day-to-day basis, right, it's Monday, you go to work, get done on Friday, and Saturday you're relaxing or whatever the case is. So you find yourself, it's a continuous, it's a continuous belt where like, hey, things are moving very quickly. So for me, for the most part, I try to be, you know, having a mental break. I enjoy a lot of sports, for example. So I usually go, watch games, basketball, soccer, it's football. Go watch that. Occasionally, every couple of weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks. Go get a pedicure, go get a manicure. Get a
Okay.
nice haircut.
Oh, you got clean nails.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Nice clean nails, right?
Okay.
Too.
Scrub those toes, scrub those feet. We don't want that African crack on them heels.
He said short too. Look, that can go so many ways.
I know.
Oh my God. You guys, honestly, so Cyrus, just round us up with that. So you said, your mani-pedi, just watch your games. What else?
No, mani-pedi, watch the games, get a massage here and there. Just relax, man. Nothing too outrageous. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds so amazing, Cyrus. It's been a very enlightening hour. Like TK said, you really have, and I want to give you your flowers in terms of, I've known you through the years, and I've always looked up to you. It's gonna sound a little bit weird, but every time I think of you, I think of someone who's a go-getter, and I've seen you do it. It's not like, I'm just saying this to say that you have your fun, you party, but you're very serious about you've been very serious about your education. You've been very serious about your career. You've been very driven, and you're just a well-rounded man. And so I just want to let you know on behalf of, I'll let TK have the last word, but I want to let you know on behalf of us here at Sister to Sister, we support you as our brother.
Thank you.
We want to see you win. We want to see you be the best father that you can be, and we know no man is a perfect father. But Cyrus, you're doing an amazing job with your boys and with your little girl. So thank you so much for for joining us tonight, for taking your time to be open with us. I know it wasn't easy. Like TK said, being African and everything, we're told to, to kind of be private and to be secretive. But there's so many people out there who are hurting. There's so many people out there who are depressed. There are people who have mental issues. There are people who are suicidal. And I think it's time that we start talking about stuff. Just chatter, just noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this ain't no Love and Hip Hop, and this ain't no Oprah, but somewhere in between.
Oh, wow.
That's
and
true.
So may the Lord continue to bless you as you go through your journey in life.
Yeah.
May the Lord continue to just, to guide you, to help you to, be prosperous, to be successful, and to win as you go forward. Thank you so much, Cyrus, for joining us. TK, do you have some last parting words for Abesh?
I guess the last parting words would just be the words that he mentioned. You said provider, presence, responsibility, still present, and talk to me. And to know that those are things that your King of Kings and Lord of Lords wants with you. And that when we lean in to the Father, he allows for you to be an excellent father to your children, and you show them the love of the Father. So we have to give you kudos for being an active dad in your children's lives, because you are showing them how the Father loves. And hopefully you stir them up to have their own individual relationship with the Father, Abba.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so you guys, thank you so much for joining us again. Like I said, I'm going to say it one last time. I know I sound so redundant, but we just started our series, okay? Our single series here at Sister to Sister. Next week, we have my sister from Kenya. Her name is Nora Tirimba. She's going to be giving us a little testimony about her single parenthood. She's a single mother. She is a go-getter. She is successful. She's driven. She's a beast. And literally, when you see this girl on the streets, careful how you step to my sister. Okay. Yeah, she don't play about that. So we're gonna have her on next Thursday. But until then, Cyrus, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
Thank you.
Deuces, yeah.
Thank you to your followers too. I don't like to say followers, but thank you to your friends.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sydney, and to Faye and to Melody for watching. Yeah, love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah.